Christian husbands are the biggest simps and they don't even know it. And in this video, I'm actually going to do a beat down on Christian men like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, other men like that are giving terrible dating and marriage advice. And look, almost every single Christian man that has been married for 10, 15, 25, 30 years are all the same. They eventually become doormats. And in this video, I'm going to teach you why this is completely useless advice and how you can be better with women. All right, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Kane. I'm the Silver Bachelor. This channel is 100% dedicated to dating advice for older guys. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and a notification button because I'm dropping videos every week. But first, I created a free ebook and free audiobook. You can get it in the link in the description. It's free. You can fill out the form or whatever, get the ebook. I also offer one-on-one coaching. And let me know if you'd be interested in me doing a live Q&A each week. I'm thinking actually on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And if that's of interest, drop a comment and you can sign up for that just by grabbing the ebook and I'll have your email. All right, let's get into this video. Woo, okay. So whether or not you are Christian doesn't matter. This video will be useful to you, okay? I made a whole bunch of notes, so bear with me. And don't worry, I'm not going to get into Bible verses and all that stuff. But like I said, this video is a beatdown on Christian husbands and the terrible dating and marriage advice that they're giving out there. Like I said, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, I look at these guys and I'm like, you could never compete in the dating world right now. Like, I just look at them. They all look like Mr. Rogers, for fuck's sakes. Okay, excuse my expression. But I'm like, you look like a fucking Mr. Rogers, really. And here you are giving marriage advice and dating advice, and they say shit like, a true alpha would marry a woman and not be single, or sacrifice himself for a woman, or marrying a woman is the most godly thing you can do. Okay, well, you know what? It's all total nonsense. Not that the principles of Christianity aren't good. It's because women change when they get married, okay? And even if they are a Christian wife. You know why I'm saying this? Because I was married 20 years to a Christian, and I have a complicated relationship with God now, but I was also a Christian. I went to church every Sunday, and I had weekly Bible studies. I know all about this, okay? And I've been married longer than Matt Walsh. I think he's only been married for 15 years, okay? 20 years. So this is what happens, okay? Okay. Like I said, the wives change. My wife changed. And this is the crazy thing, man. Christian women want to be married, but they don't want to be a wife or even prescribe to what the Bible and even Christianity says on what a wife should be, okay? And like I said, I'm not going to quote specific Bible verses, but I will give you some context. The Bible is very clear on what a wife should be like in a marriage, okay? One of the things it's clear about is that they should respect their husband. Number one, they should submit to their husband. And I'm not going to, there's all kinds of people saying, well, submit is subjective. No, you know exactly what submit means, all right? Not talking physical. I'm talking about letting your husband lead and letting him be the head of the household, okay? That's number two. Also, the Bible talks about how her body is not hers, but her husband's, okay? That's three. Did you catch that? Her body is not hers, but her husband's. Just like the husband's body is not his, it's hers. And then fourth, that it is very clear in the Bible that these women say they believe in, that they are not to deprive. Actually, the Bible's very clear, and it says you're not to deprive each other sexually unless it's for prayer, okay? And yet, Christian women reject their husbands all the time. And you know what? I don't believe any of these men that are saying their wives are not doing that. I've met so many Christian men that are living in sleeping in another bedroom. It's sad and it's pathetic that this is what happens to almost all Christian men. They become doormats. They prescribe to this happy life, happy wife bullshit, and their wives are rejecting them. Their wives are telling them what to do. Their wives end up being the leaders of the household, and their wives do not agree or even become the wives that Christianity says they're supposed to. And I'll repeat those four things. They were supposed to respect their husband, submit to their husband. Their body is not theirs, it's their husband, and vice versa. And fourth, they're not to deprive their husband unless it's for prayer. Very clear, okay? But yet, this is the thing that all these Christian wives are doing. And when I hear preachers and I hear Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh talk about, the best thing you can do is to give of yourself and sacrifice yourself for your wife and basically become, they don't say this, but basically Christian men become a fucking doormat. And because their wives do not do what they're supposed to do as a Christian wife, and my ex-wife was the same, okay? And you know what? I'm just going to share this. And this was actually when it really hit me. When my marriage was coming to an end and the pastor of the church wanted to sit down and talk to me about, okay, how could we bring this together? I even tried couples therapy, which was a fucking waste of time. By the way, on that note, don't ever go to couples therapy with your wife or your girlfriend. Don't. It is just, you know what's just going to happen? She's just going to vent and complain about you and bring up all this shit. And then if the counselor dares to hold her accountable, she's going to say to you, "Oh, I don't like the counselor anymore because women don't want to be accountable for anything or responsible for anything." So here's my suggestion when it comes to counseling, and I'll get back to the topic. Go by yourself, okay? If you want to do that. But in my opinion, if you feel like you have to go to counseling, the relationship's over, she's checked out, and there's no recovery from that. So back to the topic. And like I said, the women eventually start to take this leadership role in the relationship, and men are lying to you by saying that I have a great marriage because I'm 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5 out of 10 Christian husbands are miserable. Like I said, they're sleeping in separate bedrooms. I know men very well that have been married, like I said, 10, 15, 25, 30 years plus, and their marriage is terrible. And you know what they tell me or have told me? Because I've asked them, I'm like, and I'll tell you about the pastor, my meeting with the pastor. I've asked them, I'm like, why are you staying in the marriage? And they'd say, well, I either have too much to lose right now or it's too hard to start over. So imagine this, right? And I was going to this church every Sunday, and I'm sitting across from the pastor because the pastor was hoping maybe he can salvage the marriage. And he says, that God, for these reasons, that God doesn't approve of my divorce. And I said, okay, well, what would you do if your wife is not being the Christian wife that she signed up for? And he just looks at me with this blank face. And I said, and I quoted Bible verses right in front of him. I'm not going to do that for you guys here, but I quoted these Bible verses that talked about respecting her husband, submitting to her husband, that her body is not hers, right? Just like mine's not mine. And that's 3. And 4, that she's not to deprive me and reject me unless it's for prayer. Not that I needed sex 4 times a day, maybe once a day, once a day, once every other day or something like that. But I said, what do you do if I'm doing my part as a Christian husband, right? I'm providing, I'm protecting, I'm trying to lead. She's had a hard time with that. But what do you do if now your Christian wife isn't doing her part of things and doesn't want to and comes up with all these fucking excuses like most women, Christian or not, but specifically the Christian women, the Christian wives, you bring these verses to their attention and they will just excuse it, come up with all these fucking excuses as to why they shouldn't do this, do that, or, well, submitting doesn't mean submitting, or, respect is earned. And again, gaslighting, making all these excuses. So what do? And anyways, I'm asking the pastor this, and the pastor just a completely blank face looked at me. And so I will wrap up this video just by finishing off and saying, Guys like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and even pastors that talk about marriage, and the wives are sitting there, and they're just all these Christian men, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, are giving terrible dating and marriage advice because they don't realize that today women don't want to accept accountability, responsibility, improve themselves, and let alone follow what actually the Bible says on what a Christian wife should be. So, but I want to hear from you guys what you think of this. Like, have you listened to Christian pastors before? Do you listen to Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh? And what do you think of the marriage advice that they're giving? Personally, like I said, that's why I'm doing this video. It's complete fucking nonsense because women are, you have to accept that women's nature is that they will start to check out in the marriage because they don't want to be a wife. They want to be a wife, but they don't want to be, excuse me, they don't like what marriage is supposed to be about. Excuse me, they want to be married, but they don't want to actually be a wife, let alone a Christian wife. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.